Hey everybody, welcome to a Thursday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm sitting here with two comedians who've been in the comedy game for a very long time. They've been in comedy films, comedy specials. Listen, anything related to comedy, they've been in. And that's with my man from Def Comedy Jam. That's my man, Talent. And to Coming to America, with the new Coming to America film, that's Mr. Rodney Perry. You know, First of all, how you guys doing? Oh, I got to say real quick that comedian known as Fig, he will be back next week. We're going to miss him. He'll be back in on Monday. But Talent, Rodney Perry, how you guys doing?
Did you say Fig was getting his hair done?
Yeah.
I thought Fig, I thought his probation was up. You got to still report? I thought he was done with that. Damn, Fig. All right, well, we'll miss him. I'm good.
Damn, Fig.
You good? Yeah, well, let's get ready to jump into the show. You know how we always got to do. The show is what we got to do. So let me just first start out the show by saying I always do a COVID report. And the COVID report always tells you what's going on. And sometimes I want to jump into it deep. Sometimes I don't. But today I just want to mention one thing because it leads into the other things. The thing I want to say is that the NBA released a statement late last night, early this morning, saying they were very happy because since February 3rd, only one of 470 players have tested positive for COVID. So they're really, really excited about, only one player testing positive COVID. And I think now, like I said to you guys, check out the strategy on that. They released that statement, Talent, knowing that we all having the conversation about the NBA All-Star game, whether or not they should play it or they shouldn't play it. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the strategy of it. Before I go to the next topic, everything, you want to say something about that real fast, Talent, and then Rodney?
Yeah, I think that that's a good sign. That's a great sign, not good. That's a great sign, like you said, leading up into that conversation, showing you that they're pretty much showing off. They're showing off, like, look how responsible we are. You don't need to worry about it because All-Star, look how we doing. You know what I mean? We got it tight. Only one person tested it. Don't worry, people. The players are protected. They're going to be good. That's right now. You going to Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta's the hotbed. Rodney Perry, what's your quick thought on that?
Well, of course, y'all know I'm here in Atlanta. And it's just part of the new normal. You wear your mask, you take care of yourself, and hopefully you get home safe, man. And, I went out Tuesday night and did an open mic, and I feel great. I feel fine. Do we got to be still wary of COVID-19? Absolutely. But the NBA seems to have it figured out, man.
Yeah. That's one of the things I would really, really say is that the NBA, either A, they have it figured out, or B, they've been pulling the wool over all our eyes and letting us think one thing, and then they want to make sure they have that NBA All-Star Week. Listen, we all know, we've had this conversation. There's a lot of money NBA All-Star Weekend that they trying to make sure that they don't lose. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to do that. You know what I mean? That's the thought process I'm thinking. I mean, I could be wrong.
You don't sound convinced, Frank. You don't sound convinced.
Because honestly, I'm not. Let's it's too much money. Like, let's be honest, it's too much money.
Hey, Frank, you still got the camera on me.
I'm trying to get it off. I've been hitting the button, but it.
Okay, I was about to say, do I supposed to be saying something?
For some reason, all right, there you go. Now we see how it went, like, real fast. It went to me. You know what I mean? But only on a Thursday, right, fellas?
Let me know when the camera on me, because ain't no telling what I'll be doing over here. What my lotion?
I'm trying to get it off of me now. I ain't hit it 4 or 5 times. It ain't come off me.
I keep telling you, Frank, you got to sleep on the router. If you want the Wi-Fi to work right, sleep on the router right before the show. Boom. That's the trick.
See, that's what it is.
That's the trick. That's it.
All right. See, look at that. Boom. I guess I raised my head on it real fast. Let's talk about the next thing real fast. Here's something. Yesterday, Rodney Perry talked about this real fast on the show. He was talking about the NBA anthem wasn't played, and nobody even noticed at the Dallas Mavericks facility because Mark Cuban hadn't played it. Then of course, everybody puts out they put out a press release statement on that. And Mark Cuban, I don't know if he was bragging about that or not. I don't know what you think, Rodney Perry. Was he bragging about that or not? But it was.
He wasn't bragging about it, but they went 10 games without playing it before anybody tripped off of it.
Yeah, anybody noticed.
Right.
And so you think you go 10 games, it's like, now the question arises, do we even need a national anthem? You know, and some people feel like, the national anthem stands for some things that aren't conducive to black people in general.
Right.
And so because of that, so be it, gone with it. But, as a person that served the country, I think it should still be a part of those situations. I'm a little patriotic, but, at the same time, I wouldn't be mad. It would just let us get to the game quicker.
Yeah, but here's the story now. As that news came out yesterday, literally maybe an hour after that, Talent, you know what happened? The NBA made it mandatory that you got to play the the national anthem before the game. So now after you know what Rodney Perry just said, and now you know what the NBA just did, Talent, what's your thoughts on that process?
Well, you know how they do. It's like teachers do that in school. Like there won't be a rule in place until somebody does something. That's how rules are actually made, to be honest with you. So what happened was, let me give you a little backstory. It's mandatory in other sports, a couple other sports, but it wasn't in the NBA. So when Mark Cuban stepped out and said, I'm not playing it, blah, 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 some things in there, whatever, he was actually trying to back the, diversity part of the players and the black dudes and stuff. Right. And that's when the league went to the bylaws and checked everything. Was like, damn, it ain't etched in the bylaws. It ain't in stone. So then they put it in there, and then he had to overturn it, because they made it a new rule and new law. But I think the only ones who adopted it early on was baseball and football, I think. So it wasn't in basketball naturally. And then once they went back, they do it all the time. People do that in everything in life. As soon as you do something, and they be like, technically, he ain't in the wrong. It ain't in the lease. Like, put it in the lease. Yeah, they give everybody a new lease.
You got to point, Talent, because we was playing in the holidays. We was playing Uno, and they got all these new rules on Uno, and I hate them.
Yeah.
Stacking cards. Get out of here.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what the funny thing is they did that, instituted it and everything else. Didn't even pass it by the NBA Players Association. Did y'all notice that?
Man, I see.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to. I think stuff. It's certain things you do and certain things you don't. Like this is supposed to be one of those things that's not player affecting technically. You know what I mean? Now you got people that feel some sort of way because the original thing. But here's the thing: you take a song, right, that has a lot of obscenities and profanity in it, and when radio wants to play a song because it's a hit, they bleep it. They call it the edited version, the radio version, and they play that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is that.
Yeah,
we took all that stuff y'all talking about out. This is a different anthem.
Now here's the question. Do you think a lot of the NBA players now, knowing what we know, what they did during the bubble and the walkout and everything else, do you think that they're going to do a stand for that? How do you think it's going to affect, especially players like Jaylen Brown and other players who stood for what was going on in the country with all that? Because at the end of the day, they all were upset about all the things that was going on with the country, and they associate the national anthem being played with those issues. So, Talent, what you think about that? I mean, how do you think it's going to affect them? Because as of this morning, they all found out that it's mandatory the national anthem is going to be played. Mandatory. What's your thought, Talent?
I don't think it's going to cause a big stand thing. I think it was perfect how they handled it originally, right? You're playing this song. People have a problem with some of the things in the original song, so they take a knee, right? Or the arm solidarity or whatever. And then half the other audience, it's not bothering them. So, okay, I take a knee, I'm not standing for it. And then when it's over, I go back to work. The people who it's not bothering, they're singing along and hand on the heart and taking, standing up for it like they normally do because A, they're not a person of color. B, it never offended them. So you got, to me, it has nothing to do with the game. Right after it's done, the whistle blows, the lights come up, and everybody do what they're supposed to do.
Right. Okay. Rodney Perry, how do you think it's going to affect the NBA players and everything else the way they have been making a stand for what was going on in the country?
I'm willing to bet half of them didn't know either way. So, no. You're not going to go, well, hold on now. Wait a minute. No, national. I thought we said we wouldn't. It wasn't even a player issue. Of course, we saw what happened with Colin Kaepernick, but the NBA was never tripping off the anthem. And although we are seeing some social consciousness out of NBA players, I don't think this is the fight they want to fight right now.
Yeah, I would have to wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Let's move on to the next topic. The next topic I want to talk about is, of course, the COVID messing with the psyche of NBA players. Now, even though the NBA released that statement, I said 1 out of 470 players. You know, Kevin Durant just missed 3 games because of contact tracing. He's upset about that. But then there's a thing right now that's going on. Look at Karl Anthony Towns' talent. He lost 7 members of his family to COVID. He said he literally was having psyche issues of dealing with certain things about even continuing to play, and it's messing with him. Now, he's a star in the game. Rodney Perry and I was talking. Imagine it playing and affecting players who aren't stars of the game. I don't think the NBA is paying attention to the little guy, and that could be just me. I really don't think the NBA is paying attention to the little guy. But listen, and COVID is affecting everybody clear across the board in one way, shape, or form. What's your thought process when you first hear COVID messing with the psyche of the NBA players?
Well, I think that's the human. It's messing with the psyche of me. Anybody that's been close or affiliated or touched by COVID or lost a relative or back and forth to the hospital, had it like Rodney Perry had it himself. So it's affecting the psyche of everybody because we're trying to figure out a way to maneuver around while this thing is not under wraps. Here's the thing that they can do. You ever watch the show Billions? There's a show called Billions on Showtime that this billionaire, he has this office building with all these workers. They do a lot of computer work, trader, and hedge fund, this and that. And he has an in-house psychiatrist. Like he has an in-house psychiatrist that these people must go see on a regular basis because the job is so stressful. You know, inside of trading and all that. Their job is so stressful that he pays a woman to be in there, talk to every employee on a regular basis. That's not a bad idea for the NBA. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea that every team in facility has somebody that makes that call or makes that visit, you know, once a week, you know, twice a week, whatever it is, to deal with this psyche because it's a natural thing. They are not exempt from what we're going through.
Actually, John, I'm gonna say for the record, that's actually a pretty damn good idea. I think NBA players need to get a psychiatrist on staff, on call that needs to be handled everybody else. Because look at Karl Anthony Towns. He literally said he was suicidal, and he doesn't even like the situation where he's in that now. Because the NBA players, before they go to city, they could go to restaurants, go out to eat. They can do what they wanted to do, and now they go from wherever they're going. They go from the bus to the hotel to the hotel room, and they're not able to go out the hotel room to do anything. It's like Karl Anthony Towns said he literally said it's like almost being in prison. So it's messing with his psyche. So Rodney Perry, when you hear all that, what's your thoughts?
I mean, the thing about Karl Anthony Towns, man, we joke about the guy, but to have so many people in your family directly affected by it, and you are okay. They were saying that he has this survivor's remorse. And so that's one of those things that if you are the person that survived and you meet people that have lost a loved one, I mean, I've even had those thoughts, not as suicidal, but, almost like, God, why me? Why do I get to stay? Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things that you have to at least consider. Mm-hmm. I would imagine the NBA has some psychological something in place. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I've been believing they've been manipulating the NBA players psychologically for years, but that's just Rodney Perry. But in this situation, we're in uncharted waters, so they should definitely have some sort of training or something to make sure these guys are okay.
Yeah, I have to agree with that statement because the simple fact being, like, you're assuming these young dudes will be able to handle it, and everybody seems to be forgetting a lot of these NBA players are the ages between 18 and 25. Like, people are just tending to forget. A lot of them still, and let's be honest, a lot of them still just breaking out of puberty. You know what I mean? Like, how do you handle dealing with COVID and being basically locked up and dealing with losing family members and still having to play the game? You know what I mean? I don't know, Talent. I go back and forth with this. I just think that they should handle like you said. I think they should have literally a psychiatrist on staff that can handle a lot of things.
When you made the decision to go, it's like let's look at COVID. I don't know, like fire, right? So let's say the world's on fire, but they're so greedy for money. We want to play with the fire. Okay, so once you make a decision to go back in the fire, you might want to have a couple of firemen on your payroll, just to cover what can go wrong. You know what I mean? So here's a thing that obviously, like you said, they're kids. I don't care if they're kids or adult. When it comes to death, and near death and all these experiences, it's going to affect anybody's psyche. You got to be a robot to not be affected by that sort of thing. So knowing that you're going into the belly of the beast of this psychological warfare, so to speak, you should be prepared by having someone who's a constant professional of that and put people on a regimen. You know, the thing about it, if you can be the league that comes up with a random dress code out of nowhere because Allen Iverson clothes are too baggy and too fresh and too fly, then you can come up with hiring a person that's just make a call or sit down. I would do twice a week. I would say one's a call and one's a visit, unless you need more.
You know what? It should not go overlooked that Talent used 3 analogies in one topic, Rodney Perry. 3. Yes, he did billions. Yeah, very impressive. You did billions, you did the fireman, and then you dropped in the Allen Iverson, you know, I mean, like, bro, you are, man. You did 3 analogies in one topic.
Yeah, I don't think we have to leave this topic before you do another.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's move on, Rodney. I'm gonna move on. Let's talk about now the NBA pension.
You know, it's like these curtains. Sometimes you have spotted versions.
I think I got an analogy problem. I think I got a problem now. Because I didn't even realize.
No, don't stop it.
Don't stop. It's dope. Don't stop. It's dope.
It's like this light. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're not.
But you know you got a problem when you don't realize. He said 3. I said 3. That was 1. He boom, boom, boom. So that's like going. You go to the kid. Who ate the chips? You did. Oh, I did.
I sure did.
Yeah. Well, Talent, you did. You did 3 analogies in one conversation.
Very impressive.
You did the chips. But you know what? And all the analogies you used, they were right on time, especially the billions. Listen, the billions one, that's the first time you used an analogy that should be used in real life. Because I got to say, man, that the NBA really should use a psychiatrist. You know what the crazy thing is, though? I'm willing to bet they might even probably already be doing that. We just don't know. And I don't think it's something that they're telling everybody. If they're not, they need to. You know what I mean? They're not, they need to. Let's move on. Let me talk about the NBA pensions, man, because Rodney Perry brought up a conversation. That's why I liked this show yesterday so much, man. He talked about, Rodney, you did the thing, and you talked about the NBA pensions, and you were talking about, matter of fact, don't let me tell everybody out there what you were talking about.
So here's the story. When the ABA and the NBA merged,
right?
All those players really got left by the wayside.
Right.
So there were a few teams that merged. There was a few teams that merged: the Pacers, the Nuggets, the Nets, and the Spurs. But a lot of those players didn't make the transition and thereby got left holding nothing. So now those guys are 80, 90 years old, and there's a push to take care of them, you know. And so one of the pushes is it's a small amount of money. What we talk about is like 1.8 million to have this pension. And if you think about it, these players are all 80, 90 years old. You wouldn't have to pay them for 50 years. We're talking about the ABA players that played during that transition. And I mean, people like Dr. J, of course, he don't have to worry about it. He made a lot of money, but the lesser players to take care of those guys. And they're talking about so the NBA, but how about this? The people pushing back on this are the Players Association.
And how about this? 90% of the players who need the thing like that, they actually need the pension. 90% of the players who are in it need it. Actually, it was 92.1. So I don't think there's a pension in the country where you have so many people who are in need of it, because at the time they weren't making money. I mean, let's be honest. When the ABA NBA merged, a lot of those players had 2 jobs. One was to play the game. The other one was to actually work.
And how about this? The ABA directly affected the game we see now.
Right.
The game we see now, the flashiness of the game, the big plays, the dunks, the 3-point line, that all came from the ABA.
Yeah, because you weren't allowed to dunk, all that other stuff.
The big problem right now, the big problem is hypocrisy. The big problem is this is supposed to be the generation in the player union of this is supposed to be the player union and generation of correcting injustice.
Mm-hmm.
This is a grave injustice that needs to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be that group, but then push back against this. That don't make any sense in the world. Like, you can't be, that don't make any sense. Like, you're supposed to fix history as much as you can and change it with the power you have. So these ABA players who played back then, if they're 80, 90 years old, and you know what the circumstances was, they played through their lifetime of injustices. Now you have the power to correct something, so at least that in their tenure and last years of being here, with them and their family get taken care of. Why would you push back?
Okay, now, you know what? Let me be devil's advocate. I'm gonna throw this out there. Let me be devil's advocate. Okay, let me be today's player. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, I'm gonna preface this by saying this is not what I believe. I'm only going by what the NBA Players Association must be saying, because I honestly, literally, I can't think of any reason why I do, but I'm trying to come at it from a NBA Players Association perspective. Okay, if I'm the NBA player right now, I'm sitting here thinking possibly, why would I want to do that when I'm earning my money and everything, and this is my money that I've accumulated over my time? Why should I put into an NBA pension now for players who already played? That's the only reason why. I mean, the only thing I could be thinking that they must be thinking of why they're against it, because you know how people are. Nobody wants to be the first one. They're probably coming in on it right now, Talent, thinking that, you know, why, first of all, why wasn't the pension already put up and set up the side now? And then why they got to start on my watch, on my money? You know what I mean? Because
you can't be that uneducated. They have to know, if this is the sport you're playing, okay, I don't care how old the comedian is. When you interview him, he knows other comedians. He knows the history as far as he knows it. These guys can't be that oblivious to the history of the game that they play. This is a professional game. You got to know this game been around X amount of years. You know all these icons, these legends, these stats. You know this because you play the game, and this is what you're now doing for a living. You can't be the hypocrite though and say I'm standing up for injustice and all that's wrong. How y'all treat us, black people, blah blah blah. The players and this. The whole fight is to get equality for the players. That's what they've been doing for the last 5 years. So now these are ex-players. Hold on, these are ex-players. You gotta know that when somebody says, "Hey, ABA was before this and merged and blah blah blah," and they didn't get paid, it's a drop in the bucket. First of all, I'm sure Rodney's been on a show. Any comedian with tenure in the game has been on a show where there was a comedian that's going to get jerked on the show, and we would take out of our own money, pitch in, and this person gets paid. Now he has a pot to get paid from with a promoter. I'm not paying him $500. If it's 5 of us and we give him $100 apiece, he got his $500.
Okay, Rodney Berry, what's your rebuttal before I jump in?
First of all, they're not getting none of my money. I need to take all my money home. But I hear what you're saying, Talent, and like Frank has alluded to, and I'll even add a little more sauce to the mix. I think the players are saying, why are we absorbing the whole brunt? It's 1.8 million. A league, split this with us.
Right.
Split this with us. You know, and maybe then 900,000, we take care of these guys for the next 10 years and nobody lose no sleep. I hope that's what the Players Association is saying.
Now, okay, let me just throw this out there as a rebuttal, because I think that's what this Players Association is like. We're not privy to these conversations, but Talent, I'm gonna throw this out to you, bro. There's 470 players in the league, right? Let's look at it mathematically. Right. There's 470 players in the league. Of the 470 players, let's just say 70 of them, and I think that's high. 70 of them are multi-millionaires. You know what I mean? So the 70 players of the 470, not only are they carrying the weight of the NBA now, they now have to sit there and carry the weight of the players in the past pension. And that might be the reason why they don't want to do it, even though it might be a drop in the bucket to me, you, and them. They might not want to do it because they're looking at like, listen, there's 70 of us. We all like LeBrons and the James Harden and the Kevin Durant. They're making boatloads of money. But let's look at number 470 player, the 470th player. He ain't making that kind of money. You know what I mean? He's relying on the possibility of a pension to be able to live off of. So in case he wants to do something else, which he will want to do, because the lifetime of the 470th player in the NBA is 3 years. He's going to be in the 3 years in the NBA, maybe 4. Then he's going to go overseas. He's going to get a couple of years of that. And then he's going to come back home. And he's going to have a little bit of money. He ain't going to have a lot of change. So maybe that's what they're thinking.
Well,
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's to me, if those things are correct, right? Let's just devil's advocate, that's correct. If that's correct, there's 2 things that can happen to alleviate that. One is what Rodney said. Hey, why are we absorbing all this? Let's get with the league. Let's split it. Boom. No harm, no foul. Part 2 of that is let's sit down and diagram a criteria of the players who will be excluded, like the players who don't got it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say this is broken down between the top 100 multimillionaires, and those other 300, or the people who got that first contract, that rookie contract, that 3 years, you're excluded. Or if, the country does this with taxes. If you make under boom, boom. If you make booming up, you're part of it. And teamed in. And I like what Rodney said, teamed in with the league. This way, everybody's not affected. Because I get what you're saying, Frank. That new guy who's on minimum wage, of what was considered minimum wage of the NBA, he's got about 3 years to play before he started, getting a real check cut to him. So yeah, you can exclude. So many little criterias and loopholes you can get around. I would look at it like a tax law. They got mad loopholes in the tax law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. But you know what you just did, Talent? You literally just created a Democratic and Republican Party in the NBA. By the way, you just described it.
But you need to, because Frank, okay, let me put it to you this way. Every job in America, in America's work system, every job has profit sharing and 401k plan, different pensions and plans.
Right.
Everybody's not eligible right away.
Right.
You're not even eligible for the 401k right away. It takes time to be able to get it. Then it takes time to become what they call vested, where they're matching your money for your pension. So it's the same breakdown at every job. This is no different. There's not a Democratic Republican job. Like, I've never filled that out on an application. I've never eaten that cafeteria.
Hey, I can't even dispute that. Rodney Perry, you got a rebuttal to what Talent is saying on that? Because at the end of the day,
I don't want to talk about this no more.
Yeah. Only Rodney would say, "I'll talk about it."
This is the only sports show where somebody could just bail. I'm done with it.
Then I'll leave it with this. I'll say this. I don't think there's a right or wrong, but I don't think that the NBA players who are making the most should carry everybody and then should also be putting in money for people on the pension. But I do think they should be given something. I don't think they should carry the whole boatload of everything. I think they should split it with the owners and the TV revenue that's coming in, so it ain't hurt.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a drop in the pan in the money that they get. It's $2 million. Right. I mean, people get that in bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's not a lot of money. And we're talking about like $400 a week for a guy, that played in the league, that body is broken down because he did play. His knees ain't what they were. You know what I'm saying? It's just not fair. And if you don't take care of these guys, somebody might have to take care of your ass one day.
Yeah, but you got to say, it's one thing that I don't think that you're alluding to. Some guys have just got rich, and they, even though it's a whole lot of money, they still might want to even give away $50. There's some dudes who just don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
I get it. People are cheap.
Yeah.
So it should be the league and the Players Association. But I mean, at the end of the day, how much? You might have to write a one-time check for $50,000. And that's. And you did that for your brother that never played.
Yeah. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they're doing what they're gonna do. Let's beat this conversation, move on, because that we got a lot of other things we got to talk about. Let me talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks right now, right? We all saw what they did. We saw about the party. We saw about that. That's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is there are people who are talking behind the scenes right now of how they're trying to potentially build their team right now. Here's the scary part. OBJ has been rumored to say, he wants to play with Tom Brady, and he wants to play with Tom Brady badly. Now, Tampa Bay cannot bring back, no matter how they do it, they can't bring back Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all of them. OBJ is willing to take a pay cut. Talent, before you were on this week, we talked about how many players are going to be running to go play with Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady now. And, of course, people are going to be picking up the phone saying, no, I'll play with you. So what do you think about OBJ? Because he's almost basically out going down with Tampa Bay. What you think about that, Talent?
First of all, let me say the funniest meme from the Super Bowl just came out yesterday where they said this just in, the Kansas City Chiefs received 5 absentee mail-in touchdowns, and they are now. I had to let y'all know that, first of all. Listen, man, OBJ, man. I just, for the last couple of seasons, ever since that last season with the Giants before the trade, I just think he's doing everything to kind of edge himself out of the game, man. Like he's coming across that kid in the sandbox or the park or the playground that won't play right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, you know, we getting on everybody that wants out and wants another team. The way he's doing it is despicable. He's too talented to act like this. You know what I mean? He's too talented. There's nothing wrong with the team you on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Them dudes was balling out. Where are you going? That team was balling out. Now imagine if you was healthy and was another piece to what they already started to do and got their momentum, and you can add that piece. Ain't no telling, we might be looking at the Browns Super Bowl. But you wake up and instead your thing is, I'm gonna go play Tom Brady.
You know what the funny thing is honestly, I think that's where a lot of people are moving to right now. It's turning into that type of league where it's almost like the NBA, where people are going to start stacking teams. Rodney, when you hear about OBJ wanting to go down there and play with Tom Brady and then put the word like, I need to go run Tom Brady, I mean, I know that's got to make you feel some kind of way.
No, I feel like the man is a genius. Let me tell you something, OBJ. You better get out of that damn Browns uniform. You better get the hell out of there. The Browns are losers. Okay, they've been losers. The last time the Browns was good, they had Jim Brown on the team.
Right.
Okay, the Browns are always a heaping pile. They turned out in a good season, but only after OBJ left. After Baker Mayfield got to a position where he didn't have to throw it to him, and that freed him up to make some plays. But other than that, he has proven that he can't get OBJ the ball deep. And that's going to be a problem because that's what OBJ does. But who can give him the ball? Tom Brady can get him the damn ball.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, don't get caught trying to be loyal to a team that don't care about you in this era. This era is the era of Brady, and I'm not mad at OBJ go get a ring.
Bro, I would say this. If that starts happening, I'm not going to really like the end.
Yeah, Rodney, let me tell you something right now. You can't do that because the minute that the players do it, the league's going to do it even more.
What do you mean?
They're going to match. You can't beat the boss. The boss will always match. And it's like a poker game. The minute we start doing too much of that, and I feel like you, Frank, they're going to lose some fanship. But more importantly, what you think your bosses and owners going to do? They're going to start playing cards harder and more often than you. And that's going to make it worse for the player because we all know it's one thing when you get to leave on your own. Is another thing when we ship your ass out because we put a little footnote with that. Hard to deal with, hard to work with, you know, horrible teammate, cancer in the locker room. Once we start putting them tags on your ass, you ain't gonna want to move around no more because you can't.
Yeah, well, you could say that for most players, but if Tom Brady makes the phone call or you make the phone call, Tom Brady, look at the Antonio Brown situation. Yeah. He had a big yellow sticker on like avoid. Yeah,
but that's different because that's not on the field. What he got in trouble for is off the field activity. But here's the thing. What's going to happen if a guy like Brady go grab a microphone next week and go, I don't want him.
Yeah, then you're done.
No, thank you.
Yeah, then you're done.
Then you set yourself up to make your career worse. You don't do it like, even if you want to, it's ways to do it without having to do it. Why everything we do is public opinion now? Everybody want to be a comedian.
That's thanks to social media, bro. Rodney Perry, what's your rebuttal?
I mean, I hear what y'all saying, man, but you gotta wrap your mind around it. First of all, the owner's been doing this for years. Guys been getting shipped out in the middle of the night for years, and now the players have power, and that's a problem. I think not. I'm happy to see guys taking control of their own careers. They're getting guaranteed salaries now. They're gonna be getting more guaranteed money. You gotta think NFL players never had that. If you wasn't the top 2% of the league, you're not touching no guaranteed money. And so now a guy like OBJ, that's a top tier receiver, should be able to say where he going. Just like a top tier quarterback, he'll be able to say, I want some say so because y'all got rid of the damn great receiver without checking with me.
You know what, Rodney? I'm gonna say this: that's where the league is going right now. Whether or not we want to talk about it or not, that's where the league is going. And Deshaun Watson is the head of that right now because there's a lot of QB issues that's happening right now. And I think he is setting a precedence without even saying anything. You know what I mean? He's just look. I had issues with that. Look at what happened in Houston. Houston, everybody in the front office and everything else is gone except for one person. Everybody's gone. And that one person who's hanging there, he might not be there too much longer. So I'll throw it out to you, Talent.
They messed that team up. That team was on the cusp of greatness.
I'm not saying they weren't, but the person who messed the team up is gone. It was gone a year and some change ago. And now Deshaun Watson signed an extension, and he's still not happy. So my question is, there's some QB issues happening, but what the hell is going on with Houston? And Talent, I'm going to ask you this. Being that Deshaun Watson is like the pinnacle of this, what to do? Where do you go with this? Like, how do you handle these issues right now with these QBs? Because there's a whole lot of QBs having these QB issues. You got Dak Prescott, you got Deshaun Watson. Now you got Aaron Rodgers getting ready to say some stuff. I mean, the NBA and NFL is starting to look a whole lot alike, Talent.
Let me tell you something, man. Before I address this QB thing, I'm distraught because I just found out Larry Flint, the founder of Hustler Magazine, died.
Yeah, that was
but I'm distraught because I thought he was already dead. Anyway, listen. The QB problem is just getting worse because let's take Texas first. Texas, with Deshaun, there's something that has nothing to do with the field going on. We said it before, I say it again. And it's being clear and apparent because now what we have is this standoff. You ever see a standoff and the two people don't really even want each other. They only want to be together. But it's the point and principle of who wins the standoff. I think that's what we're looking at with Texas because why would an owner or somebody want to keep somebody who don't want to be there? And they're getting a lot of money and you can kind of get that off the books. And there's plenty of quarterbacks out there right now looking for a home. I think, Frank, we're overlooking the field. It has nothing to do with the field. I think it's nothing to do with the field. I think this was a blatant disrespect somewhere in some form or fashion. I don't know if it was in paperwork, we'll hear about courts. So I don't think it was in paperwork, but I think it was in a moral perception of I trust you, you trust me, this is what we're going to do, break, and it didn't happen. And because of principle, neither side wants to budge.
Okay. Rodney Perry, your rebuttal.
Here goes, guys. It's not just Deshaun. It's also people like Russell Westbrook. I mean, I'm sorry. Russell
Wilson.
Russell Wilson, I'm sorry. It's people like Russell Wilson who is a darling of the league. The league loves this guy. And Russell Wilson says, hey, man, forget this. I'm getting hit and tore up every time I take a snap. It shouldn't be like that. So these guys are lobbying to have more power because guess what? They have no power. All this money, all this stuff, and they still have no power. And so the decisions are being made by rich people in the boxes, and now the inmates are taking over the asylum. And I like what I see, and I think it's the future. And it's gonna give quarterbacks longer lives and better careers because of it.
Let me ask you both this. Is this a color issue? Is it because things are happening the way we have it and because all these quarterbacks we're talking about are black? Or is it just a QB issue? Is it something that, they just don't want the QBs to have the power no matter what color they are? Because let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers he's not the forefront of this. We ain't seeing Aaron Rodgers being the poster boy of this. We seeing Russell Wilson. We seeing Dak Prescott. We seeing Deshaun Watson. And what's the similar thing we have here? Now, you all know I don't like to bring up black and white issue as being a black and white issue, but you got to say the black quarterbacks who are being mentioned in this, they don't want to go play in Houston. None of them. They all and they all talking to each other. So I guess let me just ask you this. I'm gonna start with you, Talent. Is it a black-white issue, or is it just a QB issue? What you think?
Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I think damn well it could be a black issue because I'm going to go back not just QB, some black high-profile players. Barry Sanders argued this for years. I can't get a proper front line doing all this work by myself. When you fast forward to as we got more black QBs, and the early black QBs, it did look like teams in the league were setting them up for failure. The Warren Moons, the Randall Cunninghams, and all that. So now you just fast forward a little more, and if you got a guy that you're banking your whole team on, like a Russell Wilson, and you won't give them a line, are you setting them up for failure? It damn well possibly could be. Frank, you got a good point right there. I think so.
Well, the funny thing is Russell Wilson right now is literally what people are seeing. You know, he came on the news yesterday because people were like, "Oh, Seattle's having conversations about trading Russell Wilson." Like, I was like, that should never even be a conversation. So, Rodney Perry, the same question falls to you: is it a black white thing, or is it a QB thing? Because you know, what's the similarities? What's the common denominator?
I'm gonna pull in a whole nother direction.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I was talking to my man George Foster. He was an NFL lineman. And he and I had a great conversation. And what he told me is, Rodney, it's just not a lot of linemen. Like, you think it's like a lot of these big guys walk around? He said, but human beings that are that size are few and far between. So the reality is, whatever happened with the quarterbacks or the ownerships, black or white, I don't think we can protect no quarterback like the whole league. We can't protect everybody in the league. We just can't do it. You try to scheme and protect them, but the reality is it's not enough big dudes to protect them.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay.
Because the reason I'm going to do that, because of numbers. You know, I'm a numbers guy. So let's play the numbers. When we look at how many people we draft into the league, period, there's a lot of linemen left on the table that nobody just don't take for whatever reason. They out there. They might not be what you want them to be. We say that, but we can't say it ain't a lot of them because hate to go to an analogy, bro. If I'm looking for, I go fishing, and I'm looking for a certain fish, a dolphin or whatever, I pull it out, but they the kind I want and throw it back in. I can't say no dolphin out there, just the one I'm looking for.
No, you know, but your dolphin don't have no eyeballs. Your dolphin his dolphin spout is plugged up. I need a dolphin with his spout open.
I'll be like this. Oh, that's a shark.
Now, let me just say this for the record, Rodney, you did bring in another different perspective, but that wasn't the topic of where we was at. Okay, let me just bring it back. Let me steer it back. I understand what you were saying. There's not a lot of linemen and everything, but let me just say, let's steer it back to this point. The point is the players who are having issues right now, they're having issues with ownership, and they're having issues with ownership about their contracts, right? That's what we're talking about, right? We're not really necessarily talking about their play on the field, because a lot of these guys play on the field is excellent. You can't dispute that. If you take Deshaun Watson and you put him in almost any other team that already has a half a team, they will be Super Bowl contenders. The issue I'm trying to bring it back to is the ownership is having issues with these QBs. Why? Why are we having these issues with these QBs? Why is there discussions about their contracts? Why is there discussions about their play? So that's why I asked, and I'm bringing it back to, is it because of their color of their skin? Because it can't be their play on the field. Their play on the field is MVP. A lot of these guys are MVPs.
And the point you made, Frank, is we're not hearing from certain people.
Right. And that's why I'm asking you, like, Aaron Rodgers isn't making these conversations. He's not in this conversation. We don't hear the conversations about with Matt Trubisky. We don't hear it with Carson Wentz. We definitely don't hear about it with Tom Brady. So that's why I'm saying to you, you know, older NFL players are up in arms. You got Dick Vermeil saying certain things up in arms, and certain players are being talked about. So is it a black or white issue? Or
it probably is. I tell you what, if I'm Patrick Mahomes, I'm jumping in on this class action.
Here goes the answer to that, Frank. It's always a black and white issue. There's always a black and white issue. There's always race is polarizing in this country, and why wouldn't it be a problem in the NFL? And it's even more prevalent in the NFL because you have no black representation at the owner level. None, zero. Right. And so by virtue of that, you're going to have, when it comes to doing, look, I've said this before on the show, when you're doing a deal with somebody that don't have to do a deal with you, you're already in a bad situation. So whether you're a quarterback, a black quarterback, or white quarterback, you're at a disadvantage. But when you're white, you get an opportunity to at least get the benefit of the doubt. Like this guy, Carson Wentz, has been playing like a pile of dookie for years.
Right.
And he knows he's going to get another job. He knows. Meanwhile, Kaepernick is probably as good as Wentz right now. And he's not working.
Right.
Or the kid in Washington, the Washington football team, lose his job. He may not never get another job. Byron Leftwich was cold. He's on the coaching staff with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That dude was great.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because he's so right. Like
He's so
no
true.
matter what's wrong with the white guy, he gets a shot. Like they could bring up Roger Staubach, he's dead, but they found him, bring him back with stem cell research, and they'll try him out.
Let's just take a look at him. Who knows?
You know, the funny thing is I hate bringing up, black and white issues, but sometimes they're so glaring, sometimes they can't be avoided. I will say this. Carson Wentz has been playing like a pile of doo-doo, and he is about to get another shot.
Steaming pile of doo-doo.
Yeah. He is going to get another shot. But, Jameis Winston got another shot with Tampa Bay, too. So, I could do some rebuttals on that, too. You know what I mean?
Whoa, no, not really.
Why not really?
He didn't get another shot?
Yes, he did. He was backed up. He backed up. What's his name in New Orleans, and he's about to get another.
That ain't no shot. They didn't no shot. When it came time to put him in the game, they put in number 7.
That was injury.
The random gadget play white boy.
So you mean to tell me, Frank, if I sign up and I'm a black quarterback, I just need to be patient and wait for my ribs to get broke, and then I'm gonna get in.
Hey, listen, Jacoby Brissett played. He played a lot. Listen. I could like I said, I could do a rebuttals on this all day, and I like to do rebuttals because I like to see the pros and the cons on both sides. But sometimes when you got an issue with going on with Deshaun Watson, and some of the stuff is so glaring it can't be avoided because it's just like it's right there. Like there's no other issue.
This stuff didn't just start, Frank.
I know.
I talked to Warren Moon before, and he talked to me about how he didn't. They tried to make him into a wide receiver, and he fought against that. So that's what took him up to Canada. So now he don't even get credit for his records. He don't get credit for none of these yards. NFL don't acknowledge that. So he's probably gonna go into the NFL Hall of Fame, but he don't even get credit. He should have shot. His record should be untouchable.
Right. And that was 20 years ago, right? Was Warren Moon 15, 20 years ago?
It might be more than that. It might be 30.
Yeah, might be 30.
Yeah, because Warren Moon was shattering stuff with Doug Williams. They were doing some work way back then. They opened the doors to the new QB. All right, so we talked about enough about this. I want to leave this last section. I want to talk about something. Rodney Perry, you talked about something yesterday, right? I was like, I got to talk about this topic. I just have to. It was the transgenders playing in certain sports and everything else. And Rodney, can you do a recap real fast of what you all were talking about with transgender? Then I want to jump into it.
Absolutely. So the idea is that and I got my notes here. The idea is that these the trans athletes, they want to be recognized as what they identify as, but they still have the physicality of the thing that they don't want to be no more. So if you're a female athlete, which I had a couple of females on with me yesterday, shouts out to Sweetness and my friend actress Nikki Lachey, who's an athlete, a decathlete as well. They was like, "Yo, Rodney, this is messed up because if you're a track star, men run anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds faster across the board. Or if you're boxing or wrestling, you don't want to have to face a woman that used to be a guy because she still has the physicality of a man. And so I think they should figure out some sort of a way for transgenders to fight themselves or compete against themselves. But, or you just kind of don't get to do sports, in that respect. What you laughing at, Tyler?
I was already laughing. Here's the question. Go ahead, Tyler.
He's talking about, right away, let's make a transgender league. Y'all play each other.
Hey, yeah, that makes sense though. So you got a guy that used to be a guy, and he's a woman now. He's tall. He's
that's not what I'm laughing at. You make all the sense in the world, but my brain always goes like deeper into little logistics. Like how do we start this league? All right, anybody used to have a penis? Stand over here.
Or do you still got it?
Who's
Two lines.
Who still got it?
Over here.
Who still got it to the left? Who don't have it?
He said, "Who still got it?"
You see these people to the left who still got it? They're at the top of our power rankings.
Okay, another line if you touched it in the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God, that's funny. Oh, dang.
All right, now let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
But as soon as he said it, my brain was like, how the
I
hell?
know. Let me ask the question. In all seriousness and everything else, should transgenders even be allowed to play in the sport? First of all, because honestly, if you were a man, right, and then you became a transgender, in my personal opinion, you should not be allowed to play a woman's sport. I just don't, and with the rest of them, because you still have the men physicality of the sport. You know what I mean? I don't think you should be allowed, and vice versa. Because now, if you're a woman and you become a man, you shouldn't be allowed, because then you're going to be, the physicality of what God has given you is still with you. You don't lose that man's strength. You know what I mean? That's just the way I look at it.
Well, the idea is that you take your hormones, so you are losing some of that stuff. But the question when you come up and have this conversation is, do you lose enough not to dominate women in said sport? This is only an issue when it's a guy to a girl.
Yeah, not a girl to a guy.
Not an issue to a girl to a guy.
Right.
I mean, if there was a girl that became a guy that was good enough, she could play in the NBA.
Right. But that's my whole point is when it's a guy going to a girl, because we all know if you're a man, that's why men don't play against women in almost any sport. You know what I mean? You just don't do it because the man physicality will always dominate because he's a man. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to create no women issues. No, I'm not trying to do that. All I'm trying to say is if you have
keep going.
Yeah, if you're a male football player right now, I don't care, you know what I mean? Or if you're a male basketball player and then you become a female basketball player or female, you shouldn't be playing with women because you're going to still have that physicality.
I think we all agree on that part. But so the next question would be, is it just pro sports or do we start after college? You know what I mean? Like, do we allow them? Because see, what's happening now
in high school.
What's happening now is these guys and girls are transferring over early. So do we do like we do with education with smarts? We skip grades. So if you're in the 6th grade and you're a transgender, like guy to girl, do I make you play with JV? And then when you get up to JV, do I make you play with varsity? And do I just make you keep playing a level above you until you school out and then you can't play pro?
Rodney, your last point. What's your last point?
I mean that's a great way to manipulate it. Maybe you as the trans person, you don't play on your own level. You play a level or two up.
Right. Like
I like that. That's a great idea. I mean, I think it could work maybe then because I mean, again, the physicality is a lot. Even in basketball, elbows, the physicality of it is a lot. And I mean, you would never see it in football.
Yeah, because that's because it's football. But listen, we could talk about this again, and maybe we'll bring it up again tomorrow because it's a great topic to continue on having this conversation. And again, another great topic. We got a couple more great topics to talk about, but we got to wrap up the show. So, Talent, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
Well, everybody on the left, follow me on King Talent House Facebook. And everybody on the right, follow me on Twitter at It's Just Comedy or Talent the Comedian on IG. Either way, follow your plans.
Hey, man, respect to all the transgenders out there, man. Hopefully you're a fan of Rodney Perry. If I offended you, I apologize. Go to the YouTube page, man, and leave a message. Rodney Perry Live.
Thanks to everybody listening. I appreciate that listening. You all, normally we have Fig on the show. Fig will be back on Monday. We want to give shout
in the chat. You see him?
No, I can't see everybody who they are. I can't see the names of people when I pull them up. I can't see them on my end. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you. That's Talent. That's Rodney Perry. Fig will be back on Monday. This is the show called The Box Seats. We will be back tomorrow. We got a special guest tomorrow. Can't wait to tell y'all who it's going to be. We got a guest tomorrow from 1 to 2. It's on the Humor Mill channel. Until then, take care. We'll see y'all then. Same bat time, same bat channel.